Hi, this is Dr. Mark, and I'm really excited today because we have a special guest today, Dr. Prasad. He is the formulator for a couple of products that are what I consider way ahead of their time and something that I'm really excited to use in my office. Dr. Prasad, to give you a little bit of background on him, he's authored over 25 books on micronutrients, published over 250 peer-reviewed articles. He's also discovered anti-mutation potency in vitamin E succinate. He's been given the National Institutes of Health Award for $250,000 to $500,000 annually for 30 years for research and development. He's worked with the U.S. Department of Defense to research on micronutrients for effects on trauma and stress. $12 million by the United States Congress to further study on micronutrients. He's the president of the International Society of Nutrition and Cancer. He's a member of the Royal Academy of Medicine, former member of the Nobel Prize Committee for Medicine. He's a full professor at the University of Colorado School of Medicine for 30 years, and he's dedicated basically his whole life to helping people get healthy. So, Dr. Prasad, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here.
And what I'd like to do today is, first of all, I'd like to ask you a little bit about, you've developed a couple of products, one called Micro Nutrients and also one called Brain Boost. And how did those come about? How did you start those?
Well, we wanted to have an impact on public health. And some of the product, actually what happened that I was teaching a course to medical student about nutrition and cancer. And one of the students asked me that, I can't find what you have, what you are suggesting in the class in any health food store. So I said, well, I'm sorry, you have to walk, buy them individually. But then one day she said, well, why don't you start your own company? So I said, look, I'm a poor professor. I don't have resources to start a company. But anyway, and so then my sister funded it and we started form a new company. But my interest was how I can develop a formula that has an impact on public health. And I saw in the marketplace, it was all, looks like it, at randomly put all kind of stuff without knowing what they are doing it. And so I decided that right now the nutrition industry is totally confused and I should develop a program which could be much better and have a better public health impact than any other product in the marketplace. And with that intention, we have developed a series of formulation that was patented under my old company called Premier Micronutrient Corporation. And then one day we got a call from the Department of Defense saying that can you develop a product for us, macronutrient formulation, because we had a meeting with the Soviet general who had experience of using multi-micronutrient in their war in Afghanistan. And they told us actually that the troops did better in terms of recovery from the injury, overall well-being. And after the meeting was over, our general asked me that, can you develop a formula like those guys have it? It was they were visiting, I guess, our facility. And so I said, well, we already have one. But then he said, well, you have to get a permission from the military scientist. And that involved 9 months of a lecture. I gave a lecture, about 17 lecture, to various group of scientists from Air Force, the Marine Corps, Army, Navy, and so on. And then after, they asked a question about the product. At that time, I had never tested this product, which is now called Micro Daily. But at that time, we had a different name. And then after I got approval from the military scientists, they said, we have to test it. Otherwise, we can't use it. So I said, we don't have money. I said, well, you have to go to the Congress to find out. So another next 9 months, we walked the corridor of Senate and House, and finally, and met the representative and senator from both parties and tried to secure $12.5 million. But it was not given to us as a company, but it was advertised and we had to compete for that money. And I wrote a 60-page grant for every project we did. And we collaborated with the scientists in a proving ground. They had a toxicology where they were using nerve agent, mustard gas, and so on. And then we also collaborated for radiation protection with the Armed Forces of Radiobiology Research Institute. And then when it came to a trial, and we shared the resources with them because they were doing certain part of their study and we were doing certain parts of their study. And we had a lab here in Novato, a state-of-the-art lab supported by them. And then we said, let us do a human trial on Marine Corps in training. These are all 18-year-old kids, and they'd get training in Palm 29, which had a terrible atmosphere there. I was told, I never visited them. But, and so they said, yeah, we can try them, but we have to get an approval from the IRB, Institutional Review Board. Otherwise, we can't do anything to troops. So that took another 9 months to get the approval because they were concerned about the safety issues, the dose, and all this kind of thing. We answered all their questions to their satisfaction. Finally, they approved it. And then we tried a 12-week study. It was a 12-week study. It was double-blind placebo trial. And so after 12 weeks, we found that the people who were on placebo suffer oxidative stress, and we were measuring the marker of oxidative stress in my lab here in Novato, California, and then those were who was at that time we used to call them military micronutrient formulation, but now we call the same formulation micro daily. So I will use micro daily. And so we found that, so that was very encouraging effects, encouraging result. This is what we wanted to measure it, and that's why we predicted it, and that's why we got it. Most of the time prediction doesn't come right, but this time it came right. And then we also collaborated with Dr. Michael Hoffer in Naval Medical Research Center in San Diego. Both were there, but they were a little apart. One was a research, NHRC, Naval Health Research Center, and Naval Medical Center was different. But at Naval Medical Center, they used to treat all the veterans coming from the war zone, mostly from Iraq and Afghanistan, and they will get a standard treatment there. So we decided to have a study, a trial on veterans returning from these war zones, and they have suffered concussive injury, and they were showing these symptoms of dizziness and a balancing problem. And by the time they were exposed to a concussive injury, they go to Germany, stay there for a while and get some treatment, and then come back. So the difference was almost like a 3 month by the time they got injury, by the time they came to Naval Medical Center. So Dr. Hoffer, who was a captain of the Navy at the time, they divided the veterans in 2 groups. One group got a standard therapy that they have been getting all these years for 20, 30 years. And another group got a standard therapy plus macro daily. And again, the study was for 12 weeks, and it was blinded. So nurse did not know who is getting what. But at the end of 12 weeks, and he has all the quantitative criteria of measuring various parameters of dizziness as well as the balancing problem. And in all those criteria, the combination group did much better than the standard therapy group. So this was very exciting. Again, this is what we know about concussive injury and what we know about micronutrient. This was a predictive results. But as I said, most of the time predictive results doesn't come to be true. But in this case also this came to be true. So this was very exciting for us. And then, of course, Engage Global started marketing this, and I joined them. And here is what Micro Daily. Then you can ask the questions why it is having effect. Those kind of effect now you see in a lot of consumers it. Well, if you look at the science, this is all published literature, and I have published a review paper showing that increased oxidative stress caused by production of excessive amount of free radicals and inflammation, in this case chronic inflammation, which is different than acute inflammation, as you know, Doctor. And so chronic inflammation are the major initiating events that leads to almost all human chronic diseases, including PTSD, traumatic brain injury, Alzheimer, Parkinsonism. These two phenomena are common to all these diseases. Not only that, but even the people who have a family history of, say, Alzheimer, Parkinson's disease, and if you measure the marker of oxidative stress and inflammation in those people who are carrying defective gene for Alzheimer or Parkinson's disease, but have not developed as yet any symptoms, at that time, their marker of oxidative stress and inflammation are very high compared to age, sex, matched control. So the question is, if you can reduce this event, can you delay or prevent the onset of the disease, even in those people who are carrying a family history of the disease? And this was, then we don't have any data on that, but here is a laboratory data who suggests that this could be a possibility. We collaborated with the NASA in Moffett Field, California. They have a huge NASA laboratory, and they do a lot of biological study. And I met a scientist who was working on a fruit fly genetics, and was using a proton radiation. And proton radiation is 10 times more damaging than X-ray or gamma ray. And the reason they were doing proton radiation, because when our astronaut has a base camp on solar surface, on moon surface, then when their solar flare occurs, they emit proton radiation, which is a high particle radiation rather than X-ray and gamma ray. So we wanted to protect our astronaut. And so that's the reason they use proton radiation. So what she did, very smart thing, that fruit fly do not develop cancer. So they inserted a human leukemia-causing genes in fruit fly. And now you can see in their larval stage that few spots of cancer. And then in a few of them, but when they gave a proton radiation, all of them, they developed very, very high, 90% developed cancer. Then what I did was, the Micro Daily has an antioxidant plus B vitamin. And I thought that fruit fly don't need a B vitamin. I didn't know anything about fruit fly. So I prepared a mixture of those antioxidants which are in a Micro Daily. And I said, maybe we can try this, see if we can block it. We didn't know. And so she said, okay. So she fed through the fruit fly semi-media, through the diet, this mixture of antioxidant 7 days before proton radiation and 7 days continue to do fed after. Those fly who got the antioxidant did not develop tumor at all. Wow. So here is a good example. And the control fly who didn't get the antioxidant, all of them developed cancer. So here is a genetic basis of the disease. We know what gene we put it. And so it is very analogous to people who have a family history of. So it is hard to extrapolate from fruit fly to human, but at least this suggests the possibility that it could happen. But again, right now, those people who have a family history, we don't do anything for prevention. We simply wait for the symptoms and then we try the symptoms. And then there are some good medication available. So, but question is, can we, by the micro daily, can we stop the biochemical marker, namely oxidative stress and inflammation, and thereby at least delay the symptoms or delay the symptom of the disease? I don't know, but one can raise this question. And this is a non-toxic, it is a good health, it would not hurt you. We are not claiming that it will cure the disease or prevent the disease, but we are simply saying that micro daily can affect the cellular defects, namely oxidative stress and inflammation, that are present in those individuals who is carrying a defective gene, and we want to reduce them. That's all. That's why we.
So when people go in and have like CAT scans and X-ray, and they're going in and being exposed to a lot of radiation,
that's right.
It can damage the DNA in our cells and triggers some of these things. How does the micro daily help with that?
That's a very good question. Actually, human trial was made on this issue, and it was published in a radiology journal. And radiology journal, as you know, is a Bible for radiologists. So it was a highly prestigious paper. And this work was done, I developed again a formula that we thought that this will be a once in a while type of things that people go. And so we wanted to keep the cost. This was the company I formed before. And so we developed again, antioxidant, which are in the micro daily formulation. And so just the antioxidant, B vitamin, we didn't need B vitamin because B vitamin is not important for radiation protection. And and then, and it is cheap, in a few dollars you can sell it. And so this was done in a European hospital. So the patient, several patients who got the one CT scan, and then after the CT scan, they took their lymphocytes, blood, and looked the lymphocyte for what is called double-stranded DNA breaks, one form of DNA damage. Could be a single-stranded, one form. And they had a immunological tool system available, kit available, by which they can color the cells. Those who have a DNA damage, they will fluorescence. And so microscope, you can look at and score it 1, 2, 3, 4, how much was there. And so they found that the lymphocytes had a lot of damage just by one CT scan, Generally, you think that, oh, no, there won't be anything. And if you have a single break, a double break like that, and if they don't get repaired or prevented, then in the long term could induce cancer, as you well know. And so, so what they did it, and then another group of patients, what they did, they put this antioxidant mixture that we have in micro daily before CT scan and do exactly the same experiment, and they found that reduction in damage was over 50%.
Wow.
Also, that's very important. And then they will repair it. So they, not only that, but antioxidant also activate the system that makes the DNA repair enzymes. So not only the immediate prevention because they prevented free radical damage, but also they can repair it by stimulating the DNA repair enzyme system.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so this is very, very important because, as you know, the damage produced by, I'm a radiation biologist by training, and so I did from work University of Iowa City, long time ago. But anyway, the radiation also produces damage by producing excessive amount of free radicals, by producing inflammation. And so if you will predict that antioxidant will protect it, But sometimes people use just one antioxidant. That doesn't work because our body has a multiple antioxidant. They are distributed differently. They work differently. All of them will have they neutralize free radicals by donating one electron to the free radicals which has an unpaired electron. But more than that, antioxidant also enhance the expression of genes. Antioxidant will also activate NRF2. Now you were asking a question about the NRF2. NRF2, NRF1 are the same family member, but what happens normally, if you have an acute stress, like you are doing aerobic exercise, then reactive oxygen species, or ROS, or free radicals you can call, activates NRF2 so that you can have and then when NRF2 get activated, it migrates from the cytoplasm to the nucleus, where they bind with another molecule called antioxidant response element. And when they hook together, then they started transcription of antioxidant enzyme, as well as glutathione, the detoxifying enzyme also, and as well as DNA repair enzymes. But these are all NRF2 mediated. And NRF1, and there is no significant difference, both are equally good. And one activate, one probably other gets activated too, but more people have focused on NRF2. And so in this case, but what happens in chronic diseases like PTSD or Alzheimer, the Parkinson disease, you see high level of oxidative stress, but NRF2 is still there. Is not so. In other words, for whatever reasons, NRF2 become resistant to oxidative stress, so it is not responding. And if it's not responding, it is not protecting. And that's why the disease progress. But what antioxidant does it, that they activate the ROS resistance NRF2, and then whole thing sets in motion. You start producing antioxidant enzymes, detoxifying enzymes, DNA repair system. So there is another function of antioxidant that people have only recently started realizing it, that it is not just the donation of an electron to unpaired electron of a molecule, but it has a much more wider, which has nothing to do with the classical neutralizing effect of antioxidant. It works through the other way also. Another very important thing that I have written a review, that antioxidant also, you may have heard it, not heard it, maybe you know very well, that the microRNA has become a very interesting molecule. It's involved in, just like oxidative stress, many, many diseases. Now, microRNA, unlike messenger RNA, which is transcribed from the coding region, microRNA is made from the non-coding region of the DNA. And it is very tiny, about 22 to 25 nucleotide in size, so very tiny. But what it does, it almost guides messenger RNA, what kind of protein you are going to make it. You know, the old concept DNA or messenger RNA, and then you have a protein. But the new mechanism came into picture now. It is not the messenger RNA automatically will make the protein, but it is microRNA guides messenger RNA what kind of protein you are going to make. And this depends upon what kind of microRNA is producing by the non-coding region of the DNA, depends upon what kind of signal it gets. Suppose if you get a signal from pro-inflammatory cytokines or oxidative stress, it makes only those microRNA which will guide the messenger RNA to produce damaging protein, apoptotic protein. On the other hand, if the non-coding region of the DNA gets signal from the antioxidant, then it makes only those microRNA who will guide messenger RNA to make a protective or anti-apoptotic protein. You see how complex all these systems are?
Right.
And antioxidant fits, many people don't realize it, that how important it is to affect the cellular health. And so antioxidant is not just the neutralizing free radicals, it has a much more complex effect. And that's why we feel better, because we take care of all these issues.
Well, it all gets down to the cell, and these things are damaging it. And if we've got something to protect the cell and teach the cell to be able to heal itself again, that's what we're looking for. So let's back up a second and just tell me what are micronutrients? What are they?
Yeah. Anything like, macronutrient like protein, carbohydrate, fat, anything out of macronutrient is called micronutrient. It could include vitamins, antioxidants, minerals. Body needs it. So body needs both macronutrient, which is a protein, carbohydrate, and fat, as well as macronutrient. So both.
And why are they so important in our body? Why do we have to have those? Because I know a lot of our food is now processed. Over 60% of the food we eat is processed, and so a lot of those macro or micronutrients are taken out. Why is this so important for us for our health?
It's very important. Not only that they have taken out because of the processing issue, because of the manufacturing issue, but even organically grown food, they have all endogenous. And this work was done very nicely by Ames of University of California in Berkeley. But all natural occurring food, most of the toxin that we get is from the natural sources, because they are part of the food. And of course, we have also micronutrients. So our food contains both toxic chemicals as well as macronutrients, which can protect against them. So not only that our body makes additional antioxidant, but also what we get from the diet. But from the diet, we get both. Mm-hmm. Some pesticides, in we don't have that issue anymore, but still, naturally occurring toxin is there. And the question is, how do I know average person whether you are taking more protective micronutrient or more toxic chemicals from your diet? And in order to make sure that the protective micronutrient is more than the toxic chemicals that we are consuming,
sure,
take a micro daily supplement, which has all these micronutrients that your body needs it at a cellular level.
So what's the difference between I go down and pick up some vitamins down at the vitamin store or something, and what we're doing with Micro Daily?
Yeah, here that's very good question. Is that and we have compared a lot. First, that in order to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation at the same time, mm-hmm. you need to activate NERV2 so that it can produce more antioxidant enzymes, as well as you have to increase the level of antioxidant compound, some of which we take from the diet, like vitamin A, C, E, and selenium, and some of them our body makes it, like glutathione, coenzyme Q10, L-carnitine. These are our body makes it. Both are equally important. Both are distributed differently in different part of the cell. And therefore, and Micro Daily is the only one, to my knowledge, which can activate NERV2 and thereby produce more antioxidant enzyme. Mm-hmm. It has all the dietary and endogenous antioxidants that your body makes it. May not be as good because as you know, as you grow older, you will start making less and less. And so this is one major difference. And I was just looking, one formula was called a prenatal formula of some company. And I looked at many other formula. And they always have only dietary antioxidant like A, B, A, C, E, and B vitamin. But endogenous one, they don't have it. Like glutathione elevating agent. Now, how do you elevate glutathione? People take glutathione as a supplement, but glutathione gets totally hydrolyzed, destroyed in your gut, and your body never sees it. And glutathione is one of the most important antioxidants that our body makes. And so you have to elevate them because they are also get destroyed. And so in Micro Daily, which any other company's formula don't have it, we have added alpha lipoic acid, which increases glutathione level. We also added the N-acetylcysteine, or it is also called NAC. They also elevate the glutathione by different pathways. So now using both at the same time, you have elevated the glutathione optimally. This is very important. We also have another thing, we just saw it, and I've seen in many places. This is a confusion among nutrition industry that a beta carotene and vitamin A are same. It's true that beta carotene is a precursor of vitamin A. This has been known for 100 years. One molecule of beta carotene will make a 2 molecule of vitamin A, is well known. But recent data suggests that beta carotene can produce some biological function in your body, then beta carotene cannot do it. I mean, vitamin A cannot do it. And vice versa, vitamin A can produce certain things that beta carotene cannot produce it. And therefore, addition of two as a separate ingredient is essential. And I will give you one example. Beta carotene can turn on a gene called connexin gene. And connexin protein helps two normal cells together. But once become cancerous, they get lost. So they are separated and they grow wildly. But vitamin A cannot do. Vitamin K induce cell differentiation during your development, fetal stage to various iron, all other things. But beta carotene cannot do it. And so most of the time, if you go and look the formula, they will say vitamin A from beta carotene. So, but this is not true because you are not taking an optimal advantage. You are giving all beta carotene, give a small amount, they will be converted to vitamin A. Nothing is left to perform their own function. So that's one major difference that we have there. We also have two forms of vitamin E in Micro Daily. One is vitamin E acetate that is known for a long time, have been extensively studied. But in 1982, I discovered that vitamin E succinate, another form of vitamin E, is the most effective form of vitamin E. It inhibits, it reduces the growth of cancer cells. At that time, there was the first paper I published in Cancer Research. Now, if you go in a PubMed and look just type vitamin E succinate, you will have a 500 or more paper on that issue. And I was a dumb professor. If I would have patented it, I would have become a rich, function. Vitamin E succinate molecule was there, but nobody knew what to do with it.
Sure.
Because people were studying vitamin E acetate, and vitamin E acetate has no effect on cancer cells. So that was, and why we added both? Because vitamin E succinate is more soluble, therefore it absorbs more effectively, and it can cross blood-brain barrier, so it can go to the brain more easily. Vitamin E acetate, both of get converted eventually alpha-tocopherol. But vitamin E acetate quickly get converted to alpha-tocopherol, which is very important. But vitamin E succinate gradually do it. And vitamin E succinate by itself has some unique effect that cannot be produced by alpha-tocopherol. So you have a lot of advantage of being in a vitamin E succinate and combination of vitamin E acetate. So,
okay.
So
I was going to ask you, I understand that there are there's a hydro form.
Yes.
Can you kind of comment on the powder form?
Yeah. Hydro form we develop, some people can't, for whatever reason, especially older people, they can't take a capsule for whatever reasons. But we develop hydro for one reason. And another was that if you take a hydro, the biological effect is same, beneficial effect is same. But hydro, all the ingredients get absorbed quickly, and rapidly at the same time all. But if you have a capsule has to be dissolved, then slowly it has to go. So it takes a time difference. Otherwise, beneficial effect is same. One is absorbed rapidly, another is absorbed slowly. That's the only difference.
Okay.
Otherwise, there is no difference in terms of a biological effectiveness. Some people can't swallow it. There are many reasons some people can't swallow it. Some people, they feel sometimes allergic to capsule or whatever reason. So both are equally popular. For me, both are same. For myself, I take in the morning, I have also protein drink. With protein drink, I take hydro form because you just all mix it together, and then in the evening I take a capsule. So there is no biological scientific rationale except rapid absorption.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
I had another question on, you've got another product that is really exciting also called Brain Boost.
Yes.
And can you kind of tell me who will benefit from that, and how does that product work?
Yeah. I think this actually the Brain Boost, any person, I tell you first the background, why I developed that. After the age of 20, you start losing neurons gradually. And by the age you have 70, 60-70% of neuron is gone. And so, but the neuron has a plasticity, functional plasticity, so you can function normally from 30 to 40% of neuron. But question is why it happens? First, why it happens in brain? Why brain? Why not other organ? Brain will use 25% of respired oxygen that you take from the air. Disproportionately uses oxygen, so much so that 2% of oxygen leaks out from mitochondria where all the energy are generated. Brain requires a lot of energy to function, more than any other organ. So you use a lot of energy to generate. And as a byproduct of using excess of oxygen, you generate a lot of free radicals. Anytime you use oxygen, this is a byproduct. So the more you use, the more you produce it. But then antioxidant is least prepared to defend against excessive. It has the lowest level of antioxidant enzyme, dietary antioxidant, or endogenous small. So and that may account why we started losing up at the age of 20 years. And as we grow older, the rate of loss increases if we don't do anything. And then by the age of 65, many people develop dementia. By the age of 80, 50% of people will develop dementia. So this was a concern of mine, that how one can increase the energy, more energy brain can generate. At the same time, brain can protect against excessive amount of oxygen that they are using it. And so what we did in a Brain Boost, we provided a 3 micronutrient. Some of them are present in microdaily at lower dose, but in this case, we increase it. And for example, coenzyme Q10, we have there, higher level than microdaily. We also have vitamin B3 or nicotinamide, and microdaily has it, and we increase the dose here. We also added additional one, which microdaily doesn't have it. It's called resveratrol. And resveratrol, as you know, has been isolated from grape seeds extract. And amazingly, that all these 3 helps mitochondria to generate more energy. And in case of resveratrol, it has also antioxidant property, So not only it provides the fuel for mitochondria, like SIRT1 is one protein that is very important in the pathway of generating energy, coenzyme Q10 and vitamin B3. And so now it produces more energy. At the same time, it can protect it against oxidative damage and inflammation. We also added curcumin, which is not in MicroDaily. Curcumin, as you know, Indian spices from turmeric. I make Indian dish all the time and use that. But I also take additional amount of curcumin. And so curcumin is very powerful antioxidant and the anti-inflammation agents. So these are, but in addition to that, we know that the membrane of brain is very important for neuronal membrane. So they have to be strong so that no extra toxic chemical get into the cell. But free radicals can easily damage membranous structure. That's another problem. So what we did, and brain has because of the extensive membranous structure, it has the highest level of phospholipid that is necessary for maintaining the brain integrity as well as the strength. And so we added two different forms of phospholipid. One is called phosphodietyl-serine, another is called phosphodietyl-choline. And these two are very important for the membrane. And so we feel that, and they can cross blood-brain barrier, and that they by providing additional phospholipid, you are trying to strengthen any damaged membrane and maintain them strong, and integrity of membrane is maintained solid so that nothing can get in. And so, and in a preclinical study, these phospholipid had shown to reduce the memory, to improve the cognitive function or reduce dementia. So from this kind of point of view, I thought brain boost would be very important for brain function. Mm-hmm. Now, at what age you do, it depends upon financial. You can start at any age, not child, but not at, but at the age of, say, after 25, you can have both. But definitely at the age of 40 or more, one should have it. You don't want to wait because they are losing every day. I mean, every month, certain amount. So why to wait? So my recommendation would be to, try after the age of 20 when you start losing neuron. But again, young people don't have resources, whatever regions. But anytime you feel like you should start doing it, and you will reduce the rate of loss of neuron, improve the memory, clarity, and so on. And consumers who are taking these products are reporting how great they feel.
So I have a lot of people that come in that are, brain fog. They're starting to lose their memory. They don't remember where things were. They've had maybe some traumas like a car accident or slipped and hit their head. Yeah. We've seen soldiers that come back from the war, PTSD, a lot of these types of emotional mood changes. Yeah. How is that working with that?
Yeah, here it is. It's a good one that you brought up, PTSD. In PTSD and acute traumatic brain injury, concussive injury, there is additional cell defect come into picture in addition to oxidative stress and inflammation. Also true with the autism or ADHD. Is called a glutamate. Glutamate is a neurotransmitter, as you know, mm-hmm. and is very important neurotransmitter. But what happens when during injury like PTSD, when the oxidative inflammation damages neuron, somehow they started producing or releasing more glutamate. And there are some glutamate transporter proteins that they transform from one place to another. They also get damaged. So glutamate accumulating in the extra cellular space, and they are very toxic. So not only you have two phenomena, releasing of glutamate, one step, and second is toxicity of glutamate. So you can ask how microdaily can help. We know it can help reduce oxidative stress. We also know it can reduce inflammation, but it can also reduce glutamate as well as the release, not only the release of glutamate, but also the toxicity. The release of glutamate is accomplished by vitamin E, coenzyme Q10, and B vitamin, B12, B6. They are important, and in preclinical studies have been shown to prevent the release of glutamate. But antioxidant as such can prevent the release of toxicity of glutamate. And this has been demonstrated in a lot of experimental systems. But here is a micronutrient which can do all three items at the same time. And I tell you, this is an anecdotal story, but it is true for PTSD issue that you raised. That when I was trying to raise money from the Congress, and I was going to testify before subcommittee about the PTSD, trying to get some money. So while we were waiting for the congressman, I forgot his name, but it was from Cincinnati, from Connecticut. And so I saw a veteran with full uniform, military uniform. And so he asked, what you're doing here? I said, we are going to testify before the Congress on PTSD. So he said, I have a problem with PTSD myself. And he looked perfectly young fellow, maybe 23, 24-year-old, coming from war in Iraq war. He said that he owned in New Mexico, owned a car dealership. And he said before he went to Iraq, he was a very pleasant fellow. He was pleasant with his wife, his associates, worker. But now he gets angry, he can't sleep, without for no reason. And so he sat during the hearing, and after that he said, do you think your vitamin can help? At that time, we have never tested it. It was just a formula. So I said, I don't know, but you use it. We will send it to you free. Mm-hmm. So we sent them. And after 3 months, he wrote to my CEO at the time, a 3/4 handwritten letter that life had changed. He's now pleasant to everybody, to his family, and he's sharing these things with several of his buddies, and they are doing equally good. So, but again, we have never tried on a PTSD per se. We have a veteran with a concussive injury, but never PTSD. And this could be also very useful in prevention. For example, a football player, college kids who play football, NFL, So there's a lot of implication with just the, you have to have resources to reach to these people in connection. So I'm very happy that you are trying to do. And so I think it will be very, very useful as a supplement, as a complement to whatever you are doing. We are not saying that this is a, only thing you can do it. No, for prevention, this is the only thing you can do it. But when you are having disease, you always combine with the standard therapy, like we did in a concussive injury case in a Naval Medical Center. So
okay, so I was going to say with the two products, then you can use those long term, and they do work together synergistically.
That's right, long term. Because another thing is very important. It is very important long term. You have to commit yourself for life. This fellow in Denver, when I was in Denver, a very prominent businessman, had a brain surgery for tumor, and the tumor was removed, but he had a dementia, and so he invested in the company. So same formula we gave to him, and he said, now I can recall it, I can do it better. But one time he went to, after say 6 months or a year, he went to vacation and forgot to take vitamin. He came back and started complaining, whole thing returned back. And then he started taking it, then again he improved. So especially those people who have some issue, has to be taken every day. I mean, if you miss 1 day or 2 days, or sometime I forget, but that makes
sure.
sense. But you can miss for a week.
All right. Well, I think that answers a lot of my questions. I got one last question, and it's a personal one. How young are you?
I'm 84.
Yeah. See, it's working for you. You don't look 84. I'll tell you that. You look fantastic. So
How
you're,
old you
you're,
are? How old you are? You must be what, 50?
yeah, I'm actually 63 now.
Well, long
So,
go. So you start right now, and you will see you will be better or as good as me.
oh, I'm on both of them. I really like it. So, well, I wanted to,
One question that I didn't answer your question was non-ionizing radiations,
yes.
like cell phone, TV. I mean, some people have made a big deal about it, but there is no solid data that I've written a review on this issue in my book, and but what is true is that these non-ionizing radiation, like electromagnetic radiation, they do produce certain amount of free radicals, and therefore I would say take it. And people, I think, whether the data is there or not there, we know it produces some certain amount of free radical, not as much as ionizing radiation will do, but these electromagnetic radiation can do it, and they will protect you. And so micro daily would be useful. I can't say because there is not enough data available. Some preclinical studies show that it could be useful, but people are making a too big a deal about this issue that you know that it can take protection. Like for example, you don't have to have all the time.
Hmm.
Near your ear, nowadays you have a you can put it here and put certain, I don't know what it's called, but some machine that you can keep your cell phone away from you.
Hmm.
But there's no question, if you do long time, 5-6 hours a day like this, it could hurt,
Yeah.
you know. And so, but anyway, and also that there's a lot of issue of a hearing problem, like
Hmm.
tinnitus. Tinnitus is another strong issue. 40 million Americans have tinnitus or
Okay.
ringing of the ear. Again, same biochemical defect is there, oxidative stress, inflammation. So it could be, and actually we have done in a private practice setting, did a study on ringing of the ear, and macro daily helped.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's it for me today.
all right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge. I could talk with you for hours, but we're going to have to wrap it up. And I thank you so much
And
and have a great day.
thank you for helping us
All
to reach
righty.
as many people as
You bet.
possible.